Take a deep breath and let the day drift softly away, knowing that here and now there is nothing you must do, no task that waits, no pressure to hold, only the simple comfort of resting in a safe and gentle place, where the air is calm, the night is steady, and your body can quietly settle. You may notice how your shoulders can loosen as you rest, how your breathing can find a slower rhythm, how your thoughts can gently float without any need to chase them, and how each moment can be softer than the one before. Around you, imagine the night as wide and peaceful, filled with the quiet hush that wraps a home when the lamps are low, when windows reflect only the soft glow of the moon, and when the outside world feels distant and still. In this space, you can allow your mind to turn toward a calm picture, a simple image of a garden that waits quietly beneath the moonlight, its paths hushed, its blossoms at rest, its leaves touched by silver light. Everything is steady tonight. The image does not ask for effort. It simply unfolds with calm shapes, with slow shadows, with a quiet glow of moonbeams that settle across every branch and petal. As you picture this gentle place, there is no need to move quickly or to seek anything beyond the comfort of stillness. For this time is only about allowing the quiet beauty of night to ease you toward rest. The more you let yourself notice the softness of this garden, the more your body can agree with the silence, and the more your breathing can fall into the quiet pattern that leads easily toward sleep. As you begin to picture the garden more clearly, you can imagine the cool air that settles in the evening, soft against your skin, with the faintest touch of night blossoms drifting gently on the breeze, and the soundless rhythm of still branches resting under the silver glow above. Each path is simple and easy, lined with plants that lean softly into the night. Their shapes clear but never sharp, their colors muted into deep greens and quiet whites that glow when touched by moonlight. The space feels wide but never overwhelming, a place where every step lingers instead of hurries, where the silence is its own companion, and where even the smallest detail, a curved stone, a fallen petal, a quiet shadow, becomes part of the calmness that holds the whole scene. You may picture a soft bench nestled near a winding corner, the wood cool but gentle, waiting without demand, inviting you to rest, to notice the way moonlight gathers on its surface like a faint shimmer of glass. Sitting there in imagination, you can see how each leaf above sways almost imperceptibly, how the air holds a rhythm that is slower than speech, slower than thought, slower than anything but the natural cadence of night. Everything is steady tonight. The hush in the air is like the hush in your own breathing, and the stillness of the garden is like the stillness you begin to feel within. As you let this picture stretch longer, the details grow softer rather than sharper, as though they are smoothing themselves out, becoming easier to hold in mind, easier to rest with. You may linger on the gentle glow of flowers that open only when the moon is bright, petals turned upward to reflect the silver light, standing quiet in their own elegance without ever asking to be admired. You may notice how the garden paths, though they lead in many directions, never feel confusing, only offering gentle choices, each one lined with soft moss or cool stone, each one leading you further into quiet instead of noise. Even the sky above plays its part, wide and dark, filled with a gentle scattering of stars that twinkle faintly but never demand attention. Simply there as background companions, steady and calm. Sometimes it helps to think of this space not as somewhere you must arrive, but as somewhere you already belong, a place where night has already slowed time down, where the air itself encourages your body to release, and where your thoughts can walk softly without any need to reach an end. Everything is steady tonight, and as the minutes drift quietly forward, the garden seems to glow with the promise of rest, each corner holding the same soft energy, each breeze carrying the same gentle rhythm, guiding you closer to the ease of sleep. The garden rests beneath the moonlight, and each time we return to its image, we find the same calm presence waiting, offering gentle paths, soft air, and the quiet assurance that nothing is rushed. Nothing is urgent, and nothing needs to be solved, only noticed in a still and steady way. You might begin with the simple idea that the garden is always there, wide and open, yet calm and easy. And let that idea settle slowly like the cool touch of evening on your skin, bringing no weight, only ease. Imagine a path of stone, each step cushioned by soft moss, the air quiet, the moon above shining with steady light, and let yourself walk slowly, so slowly, with no destination except the comfort of noticing the world around you. Everything is steady tonight. At times, the garden might feel like a mirror of your breath, each inhalation like the gentle lifting of branches, each exhalation like the settling of petals back onto the ground, a rhythm that requires no effort because it is already natural, already steady. You may see a fountain, small and clear, its water catching the moonlight in glimmers that shift like scattered stars, each sparkle brief and then gone, leaving only the quiet circle of reflection that stays calm no matter how the surface moves. In one corner, vines curl gently across an archway, their leaves layered like soft fabric, making shapes of shadows that dance quietly when the night air moves, and you can notice how even movement feels unhurried here, as though time has slowed just to let the garden breathe. Everything is steady tonight. Each part of the scene is an echo of stillness, from the tall trees that stand as watchful companions, to the small flowers that open only when darkness falls, all sharing the same peaceful rhythm. As you walk in thought through this space, you can return again and again to the simple observation that the garden asks nothing more than to be noticed, that the night is generous in its calm, and that rest is already woven into each breath of air you imagine taking. A bench may appear along the way, and as you sit, you may notice the cool texture of the wood beneath your hand, the faint glow of the ground at your feet, and the way the shadows lean in one gentle direction, following the moon. The longer you linger, the more the garden reveals, not new sights, but deeper, quiet layers of silence that rest one upon another, as though stillness itself has form, soft and steady. Everything is steady tonight. The repetition of the garden's calm becomes like waves along the shore. Not loud, not forceful, but consistent and soothing, returning again and again until you know it deeply. Each cycle through this thought allows the body to match its pace, shoulders softening, breath easing, and mind slowing to a rhythm that feels both natural and complete. You can think of the leaves above as a canopy, not only shading the garden, but creating a blanket of safety, letting the moonlight filter through gently. Never harsh, never demanding, only soft beams stretching across the earth. Beneath this canopy, the air seems to rest too, holding coolness and quiet in equal measure, touching skin like a calming hand. Everything is steady tonight. The garden's stillness is not fragile. It is strong in its softness, steady in its calm, repeating itself like a lullaby that does not end, a rhythm that carries you deeper into rest each time you return. And so, with each gentle step, each image recalled, each breath aligned with the quiet, the garden becomes not only a picture to imagine, but a feeling to carry. A steady reminder that rest is not distant. It is already here, already present, already waiting beneath the moonlight. Everything is steady tonight. Within the quiet of the garden beneath the moonlight, the rhythm of rest unfolds again, repeating itself in slow and gentle waves, each one reminding you that the night holds you with calm steadiness and that no thought needs to press forward. No plan needs to take shape, only the simplicity of being here in the hush of evening. You may notice how the air feels cool and constant, like a blanket woven from stillness itself, and how every breath you take can feel like part of that same fabric, soft and complete. Everything is steady tonight. The garden, in its moonlit form, shows itself layer by layer, each one an invitation to linger, not to move quickly, not to search, only to remain present in the gentle atmosphere that asks for nothing more than awareness. First, there are the tall trees, standing as quiet guardians, their branches lifting upward as though cradling the stars themselves, their trunks steady, their shadows long and restful. Second, the paths that wind gently without urgency, some lined with stone, some edged with moss, all carrying the same sense of ease, each turn soft and unhurried. Third, the flowers that open in the night, petals glowing faintly, offering the air their fragrance. Light but calming, almost like a whisper you can sense more than hear. Fourth, the small fountain, its water reflecting silver ripples that do not disturb the silence, but become part of it. A movement so subtle, it feels like breath itself. Fifth, the benches tucked into corners, each one waiting without expectation, offering a place where you may imagine sitting, hands resting loosely, body loosening as time itself seems to slow. Everything is steady tonight. Each element adds to the whole, and yet none asks to be remembered. For the purpose of the garden is not to be captured, but to be experienced in its quiet rhythm, its repetition of calm. As you imagine walking through these layers again, you may find that the details blur slightly, becoming less sharp, more like soft brushstrokes of light and shadow. And this blurring is part of the rest itself, a sign that nothing needs to be held too tightly. The moon above, steady and gentle, keeps its glow without flicker, and its light drifts across every surface, turning leaves into silver outlines, petals into faint lanterns, and pathways into ribbons of calm. You may think of the garden as a melody, not with notes or instruments, but with the recurring patterns of hush and glow, of breath and pause, of soft texture and cool air. Everything is steady tonight. Each return to the image becomes like another verse of that melody. Each step, a rhythm that carries the body deeper into ease. Each breath, a reminder that calm is not something to be found, but something that has already arrived. And as you drift slowly through the garden's repeating stillness, you notice that even the silence itself feels layered, as though each moment of quiet rests gently atop the one before, until the weight of stillness becomes soft enough to carry you into deeper rest. Everything is steady tonight. The night garden remains with you, steady and unchanging, offering a final gentle place where all the images you have carried come together in a softer, slower rhythm, blending into one long breath of calm. The trees are still present, but they are quieter now, their outlines blurred as though seen through a veil of moonlight, their branches holding space without needing to be defined. The paths remain, though they are less about direction and more about presence, soft stretches of ground beneath you that do not lead anywhere in particular, simply existing as gentle surfaces for the mind to rest upon. The flowers, too, become less about detail, more about the sense of light, fragrance, and the cool glow of petals leaning into the night air, becoming a soft impression rather than a sharp picture. The fountain drifts into memory as a circle of faint ripples, steady and soothing, and the benches become part of the ground itself, places to pause without distinction. Everything is steady tonight. As this image settles, you may feel the cadence of the garden slowing further, each layer folding into the next, until the entire space becomes one continuous hush, a single rhythm of quiet that supports your rest. The air is cool, the light is soft, the silence is deep, and all together they form a blanket that surrounds you without weight. Everything is steady tonight. Turning to this refrain is like returning to the very center of calm, a reminder that the garden has never asked you to do more than notice, never urged you forward, never hurried your breath, only matched it gently, consistently. The repetition has become the story, the stillness has become the guide, and the garden itself has become a mirror of the peace you carry within. In this final quiet, There is no separation between you and the night, no distance between thought and rest, only the soft closing of the day, the steady rhythm of breath, and the deep comfort of being safe and still. Everything is steady tonight. Good night.